Well, hello everyone, and here we've got a marvellous trip that we can all do. It's very easy, almost completely flat. There's only about 200 feet of climb. We're over in the east of Kent, but as far as you can get, near the town of Sandwich. So here we are. We're starting right at the very top there, just off the A257, and we headed into a Sandwich, a very pretty little village, definitely worth visiting. You've got boats, you go right up against the quaysides, very pretty, and then you head out from there across the famous Sandwich golf course, which is definitely worth having a look at. It's nice for a walk as well, there's plenty of footpaths across it. And then you get into Deal, and Deal's got a nice pier. It's quite a nice little holiday town. And then we head back out from there, and there you see a little nature reserve, and the footpath here was closed, so we were hoping to join up with it, but it's a big steel fence, lots of security gate, so we had to come back out and head towards Sholden, and then follow up the 258, which was not ideal, but it's not too bad a road, and then head off towards Eastry rather than staying on the main road there. And then we go across some fields on the way back. Now, one of the things you'll see about the fields after Eastry, which is a very pretty village, so it's not far after Eastry that we then find that we're stuck on these somewhat they're just fields, so you'll need to have good tyres, and it was really wet when we went, and you can see there's nothing here, and there's that little dogleg at the top where we actually took a right turn, which Komoot was telling us to do, but it was blocked by trees and gates, so we then had to retrace our steps, join the 257 again, and get back home. But you can see it's quite a nice little route and definitely worth a try. So let's just follow that through here, down through Sandwich, then across the golf course, you can see all the holes there, into the town of Deal. Quick trip out onto the pier. It's almost mandatory, isn't it, when you get to somewhere like that. On a hot sunny day you can get yourself an ice cream, and then after the trip head back, don't get stuck at the cycle track, and then head off back up towards Eastry, and then around across the fields, you can see here, don't get caught there, and then back home. So a simple 17-mile trip, probably slightly under when you take out all of our detours. So here we are now on the 257. It's a really busy, dangerous road, so I recommend you start off by being on the pavement and then get across the roundabout, and then once you're over the other side, then it all quietens down. You do have to face the railway line just here, but it's very rarely closed. We head down through the outskirts of Sandwich into the main town, and it's a really pretty town with timber frame buildings. It's got a little town square with the old arch in it. Definitely worth a trip there because you can go up against the harbour. You would stick to the left here. This is not the proper cycle path. We misread Komoot. Rejoin the road, and now we just head straight out towards the golf course. Now the golf course is private property, so you wouldn't even be able to do a lot of this in a car, but we are allowed on a bike. So just head down towards the edge of the golf course into the estate, and this is where you're supposed to stop, and that from this point on this is a private road, so please, respect the environment, don't drop litter or anything here. But we work our way through the smart bits and then down really across the fields on the outskirts till we get to the golf course. Now we're surrounded by golf, and it's a fascinating place. It's one of the original links golf courses, so it's nearly all sand dunes, and definitely worth a walk across. There's plenty of footpaths. I don't think they particularly want you to risk straying off the paths, but there's lovely walks and these white poplars standing up everywhere. But then when you come out the other end, you go through a farm, and now we head back towards the coast, and we're going to hit the coast just on the outskirts of Deal. So here we are, very close now towards the village of Deal. There's the clubhouse, and after the clubhouse we're straight into a housing estate, and the seafront is just at the end of this wall that's coming up in front of us there. So rather than go along the seafront, we're going to follow along the road that runs parallel with the sea, work our way through, and then around a little turn here because there's a big sweeping curve in the road. Then after this building coming up, then we find the pier sticking out on our left over there, and then we join that, and we went for a bit of a walk over it, so we just take you for a walk because you go quite a long way out over the pier. we go to the end, and then you can change levels and go to the observation platform, which is what we did. Have a little look out. By the way, it's sea. That's exactly what you see. And then we headed back after a good look around, back towards the bikes. So back on the bike, and then we walked through this first bit because of the traffic, and it was late in the day. We just travelled down earlier on through the back of the town and through some quite nice little parts of Deal, then across the housing estate, across the railway, and then head out of town. And it's not far after this that we head off down this little back path here, and we thought it was going to take us somewhere really nice, but instead it took us this one here. Looks great, but in fact what it does is it takes you to this block path. So we head up here, and when you get to this block path coming up, I'm just going to stop here. So we get here and we find the gate is well and truly locked, so there's no real alternative for us but to turn around and go back around the fields, back across this quite a nice track, but I don't know why they should have a solid cycle track leading out, which then comes to a grinding halt, and there was no way to get past it. So we trace our way back to the edge of the tail end of the house, that little housing estate, and then we head off towards Eastry. So back round and then take the road route out. So don't be tempted to take that rather nice cycle track that's a bit gravelly. So we're heading out now, and we stuck on the pavement here because this is the 258 and it's fairly busy, but you can see the sun's about to go down. It's late in the year, so it's going to be dark very soon, but the cycle track is far enough away from the road, but at this point we had to rejoin the road, but fortunately it's not for too long. Now do watch out, because one of the things is that they have a lot of lorries coming up here from the industrial estates that are further up, and try not to overshoot your line as well. But we're following along the edge here, cabbages on the left, and then we get past, I think it's a school that was on our left, and we leave the road, and now we're heading off towards that little tiny village, and you can see the sun is now getting really low, and eventually we're going to head over across the fields. We find that we get trapped another couple of times, so left here back onto the main road, but then we're really just crossing straight over it and heading around the fields as the sun sets down towards the village of Eastry. Quite quiet here. For some strange reason there was a three-wheeled car on the top of a building back there, which we'll see several other times. But now we're heading up the hills, and then we're going to head right at some point across the fields. So over here, a couple of right turns, and now once we get past that other closed road, which really was closed, we go down this path and find that one's locked. So we go through this person's garden, it looks like, but it is a proper footpath, and that takes us across the fields. So just be aware. Look at the surface here, it's very muddy, and we did slide around quite a lot because it had been raining, so be very careful. But you wouldn't really find this unless you knew that there was a path there. So we're heading along this field margin, and it doesn't look like it's a road. This is where we I think we slid off and had to restart. But if it's dry weather you'd be fine, particularly if you've got a normal solo bike. You come back out into this housing estate and we work our way from there. So this is that, you think you're almost home and found that it was completely blocked. There were trees across, there was a gate, so we had to retrace our steps, cut just round through the edge of this little bit of village here. It's not very far, the road was pretty good condition, and then rejoin the 257 and then head back to where we started from. We started from the little fishing lakes. So do find us on Komoot. It's called Sandwich Deal Eastry Bike Loop with locked gate warnings. Join us there. You can download a GPX file to put into your Wahoo sat nav or whatever it is that you're using. We'd really love you to like and subscribe to the channel, and that would help us tremendously. And our next ride is also in this area. We're going to go down to Dover, I think, and have a little look around there. So do feel free to join us, and we look forward to seeing you on the next ride. Bye.